All right. So Packers Century here. Looks like the live transcript is on. All right, cool. So unless you've been living under a rock, you guys know about the Top Gun 2 movie that came out. Shall we play again? Right. So like 30 years prior, when was the last Top Gun? When did it come out? 1970s. Top Gun. Let me check. All right, like 1986, something like that. So this one actually did better than expected in terms of if you're just looking at the actual revenue. It brought in about over $1 billion in bucks. So not bad. I mean, especially considering the pandemic. I mean, it got canceled the first time and it got re-released. So, and the only other movie that obviously hit over the $1 billion mark was Spider-Man No Way Home. No surprise at all, right? So I guess let's talk about Robinhood. So right now, Robinhood and FTX are going through a mergers and acquisition. For those who don't know what a merger and acquisition is basically when a company goes and tries to take over. Now you can have a strategic alliance, which you could say that it's not really a merger. Strategic alliance is when you partner with a particular company and you have like a particular product in mind or something like that you want to release. And yeah, so that's not really it. Mergers and acquisition, I'll just underline that for you guys here. Yeah, mergers and acquisition is either a hostile takeover, as in the company doesn't want to sell to you, the board pretty much disagrees with you. And a friendly takeover is when the management actually does want you to buy out. Now, whenever you're trying to buy out a company, this could either be a leverage buyout, which means you borrow money from the bank or borrow against the assets itself to buy out the company. You can pay with obviously cash as well as some stocks. There's many ways to sell it. So we're not too sure if this is a hostile takeover yet, but it looks pretty friendly so far. And it makes a whole lot of sense. If you look at the fear index right here, the markets are really panicking. 29, that's pretty high. So if you guys are not sure, you can always look up what the VIX is. It's called the VIX or the fear index. So you don't have to necessarily look up Robinhood. Like the markets are clearly down, right? So SPY, yeah, everything's down. Over the last 5 years, it's been going up, but year to date, it's down 20%, right? For the market to be down 20%, that means like some stocks are like, if you got like any small cap, like smaller companies under, I would say, let's say 5 billion or something like that, especially if you're talking like $100 million valuation, those companies are really down. So anyway, so obviously if you're looking at Robinhood, if you're looking at their market cap, depending on who you ask, it's about 7.9 billion, something like that, just under 8. And it actually went up about 14% or so. I know it doesn't reflect it on the chart here, but this is for the last 5 years, right? So it's not a company that's profitable yet, right? If we're looking at the financials here, you can see the revenue. That's not, that could be good or bad depending on the company, but for a company that's worth about $7.98 billion, that's not so bad. Cash on hand, it's scary. Net income, yeah, so they're not actually profitable. So a company can, go a long time without actually being profitable, right? Because you can always use the money that you get from your shareholders, venture capital, et cetera, et cetera. But you're not necessarily running on profit, which isn't good if you're an investor, right? A company that's pulling in $1.82 billion as of last year, I guess that's pretty good during the pandemic. So people saw the opportunity in the market during the pandemic and started opening a whole bunch of Robinhood accounts. But obviously, they're not exactly buying Robinhood stock. They're buying everything else, right? and it doesn't really help that the market is down. So you have this whole merger and acquisition going on over here, right? You have the pre, so this is where you're trying to make a deal, and then you have a merger, and then the first 100 days you're trying to figure out how to integrate the company. So let's say if this is right now the CEO and the founder, this is Mr. Vlad over here, who's doing some questionable things. Okay, and Robinhood actually started that they're starting to get into the blockchain space. So clearly this guy's already in the blockchain space. Sam, I think this guy's like 38 right now. Let's just identify the age. I don't know why I'm looking up age. 30. They're both in their 30s. Okay, I don't really care the exact age right now. I think he's 30 and 38. Okay, whatever. So they're basically doing a merger and acquisition. They're talking it out. They're like, this guy is talking to this guy, and they're like, hey man, I want to buy your company. And he already owns about 7.6%. So Sam, this guy Sam over here, he already owns about 7.6% of Robinhood, So that would be about, I have the numbers right here, $648 million for a company that's only about 8 billion in market cap, right? So he's clearly on the path to buying out the company, but there's conversations going back and forth. I mean, obviously, if you buy a whole bunch of shares, the news outlets obviously they're gonna have questions, right? So hopefully this is friendly, right? I don't want to mention any names, Elon, but hopefully, they work things out. But yeah, if you're looking into buying the Robinhood, I don't really recommend it, just because the company's not profitable yet, and it's pretty shaky, especially when the market's down. But I mean, that's also the time when there's a lot of opportunity. So if you believe in the company's long-term fundamentals, then surely you can buy it. But I personally don't see the opportunity there. So, you guys can kind of make your own decision based on what you think the future of the company is. I mean, they certainly did a lot of revolutionary things, right? Low, free commissions if you want to do certain trades. And they definitely did revolutionize the industry, but they're not exactly a big boy brokerage right now, right? Like, if you were to compare it to like Charles Schwab, Merrill Lynch, or I guess TD, they're not quite there yet. They're not one of the big boys. But I think if they can really corner the market when it comes to crypto, there might be some opportunities there. So yeah, do your own due diligence, do your own research. But if you're, I guess a bullish case for me would be that Robinhood is not quite mature as a company yet. They haven't really figured out how to lower their cost to be profitable. And it's obvious, right? Since the market took a hit, I mean, he's trying to capitalize and take over the company. So hopefully it's friendly. All right. Peace out.